All right, Grace Life. Good to see you today, or you get to see us. Another opportunity where you see me, but I don't see you. But you're also seeing Bryce Landwehr today, and most of you know Bryce. Bryce is a member here at Grace Life, one of the teachers for the Bridge Sunday School class, one of our vibrant Sunday School classes at Grace Life. He's also a licensed counselor with Wellspring, one of our great ministries in the Birmingham metro area. Great resource. A lot of us at Grace Life have utilized their services, and I encourage you to continue to do that. And we're always thankful for how Bryce shares his skill and his calling with us so freely at Grace Life. So hopefully our Zoom, this is kind of new to a lot of us, and to me and to Bryce. So bear with us. Hopefully it'll go pretty well. But Bryce, I thought it would be good to have a conversation and let our Grace Life family and friends listen in on that. Right now, with such a concerted effort that's being put forth to take care of ourselves and our loved ones and our friends physically, which is so important, that comes with some challenges, I think, that can present themselves to us mentally, emotionally, relationally. We're all kind of living under this weird sort of strain right now. Some people that strain's greater than others, obviously, but we're all feeling that. I think some isolation and sorrow and loneliness, all those kind of things are sort of rushing in. So what do you see kind of happening in the world out there? And what are some things we need to be aware of when it comes to our mental and emotional health? And just kind of talk us through how to care for ourselves and each other as it relates to that part of human life.
Sure. I think that what's going on is not anything new as far as humans' reaction to crisis. People really struggle to find what they can control, and they end up inevitably being preoccupied with what they can't control. So a lot of people are spending a lot of time in chatter about what's going on and their fears, and they want to vent that and express that, which part of that's good, but that can get out of hand and can cause panic. And so my advice for all my clients and for my church family is, first and foremost, to think about the word control. What can you control? What can you not control? To know the difference, to seek to know the difference. Wisdom is going to lead you to focus on what you have control over in the moment. And that starts with your thoughts and your feelings and leads to your actions. And so prioritize on what you can control, and don't waste too much energy focusing on what you can't control. To break down on, well, Bryce, what do I focus on controlling? What are the things that are within our control? Develop a routine. You can go stir crazy if you do not have a schedule planned out. And that routine can be from waking to going to sleep. I'm going to wake up. This is what I'm going to eat. This is when I'm going to go to sleep. Filling in a lot of your dead time with writing, reading, praying, worshiping, abiding in the vine, filling your opportunity of free time with things that are healthy. Good sleep hygiene is one thing I'm failing on right now. And so I want to admit that. And sleep hygiene is the glue. So if you're staying up late and you're reading all your articles and you're not going to bed until 2, 3 in the morning, that's going to cause wear and tear on you, and it's going to overall translate to mental health. It's going to affect your mood. Know when to go to sleep. Know how to create a good sleep schedule in the midst of your routine.
Can we camp on that one for a minute? Because I'm pretty passionate about that as well. That's something I've learned later in my life. You and I've talked, we've had some conversations about that. And so I'm real intentional to try to get more rest and to sleep better. That's always kind of been a struggle for me. Just can you give some helpful tips about if somebody is kind of struggling right now to sleep, maybe what are your top 3, 4, 5 things that they might consider trying to experiment with that could help them right away?
Again, what you can control. I can control my environment to a certain degree.
Well, I was really talking about the sleeping. I'm sorry. Specifically talking about sleep.
Right. Yeah. No.
Okay. I see where you're going.
You can control your environment in your room when you're trying.
Oh, good.
based on your five senses. So what am I hearing?
Yeah.
What am I smelling? What am I feeling? So if you put on, there's a lot of sleep science videos on YouTube, and there's the Calm app. There's Relax Melodies is another app. These have a free version that allow you access to certain songs that are designed to help the brain go into deep sleep. That's through the power of sound, through smell, lavender, sashes, and I think I said that word wrong. But
Just impressed you said sashes.
yeah, sachet, I don't know. But there's certain essential oils that you can use that everybody's into. Candles, you don't want to burn a candle while you're sleeping. That's a bad idea. But there are certain lotions and oils that help produce sleep. Making sure your light is not, if you needed blackout curtains or whatever, if you need one of those sleep masks, make sure lighting is controlled. So backlight of computers and phones need to be off. And you want to try to focus on getting 6 to 8 hours. If you could get 8 hours, that's great. And so trying to control your environment. Also what you eat. Don't eat late. Your food is, you're trying to digest food before your brain says, hey, now we're ready to push blood to the brain to go into REM sleep. It's got to digest a certain amount of food before it does that, and before it does a lot of other things. So don't eat late at night, which is another thing I'm failing on. So let me own that up. And there are some vitamins that help with sleep. And if you really have sleep problems out there, don't get addicted to sleep aids. Consult a physician, even if you have to do a teledoc and ask them, hey, what can I do on a medication level if I really have a sleep disorder?
Yeah, yeah. I know for me, magnesium is one of those supplements that seems to help.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
late in the
helps
day.
a lot of my clients. Very good.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I think that could be helpful information. And I love how you, I thought we were miscommunicating there at first, but you're right. That is an area of our life that we can control. We do have some control over that. Going to bed at a decent time, turning those screens off, having the room cool, having it comfortable, the right smells, sounds, so forth. Yeah, I love to sleep with my window cracked open a lot, you know.
Okay.
And if the temperature's too hot for that,
That's good.
I play an app with crickets chirping like I'm camping outside. That's just one of the things that works for me.
Yeah,
So.
that focuses on the senses of auditory and tactile, the temperature, what you feel. If you get your environment the way you need it, your body will be relaxed. It's easier for you to slip into sleep. I once fell asleep through a counseling session because I fell asleep on my couch. It was going to take just a 10-minute nap, but I put on Relax Melodies, and it put me in such a deep sleep. I didn't wake up until an hour and 10 minutes after I was to go out there. And God bless that client; they were still out in the waiting room. So,
well, for our Grace Life family, if you have trouble sleeping, you can always go back and listen to one of my sermons. But no, I think I do. I'm glad we kind of started there because I'm with you. I think sleep is so fundamental to everything else. I think that's just the building blocks that everything else rests upon. So take us from there then. Okay, I'm going to work on sleep. What else do I need to be thinking about during this time?
Yeah, so when you wake up, you got to be thinking about getting outside. The largest, for most of us, the most of your activity, maybe the only activity that you got was going to work, was standing up, was moving around the office or the warehouse or whatever. Now that's gone for most people. So you have no activity. Your brain hates this. Your body hates this. Mental health, those dynamics you were talking about, emotional and physical, and they are all intertwined. You got to get out and move. This is something that we've been trying to do, trying to teach my kids soccer out in the yard. I just ran with them this morning in a stroller. And there were other people in the neighborhood out and about. And now is a great time of the year to do that. Even if it's not running, if it's just walking, you cannot sit inside all day. That is going to cause irritability. You're not designed to do that. And so make sure you're getting outside. Vitamin D has also been touted as a very important vitamin during this time to help with just keeping yourself healthy in the midst of the pandemic. And
Right.
so get it from your natural source. Even if you just go outside for a moment, not to exercise, say you have health problems and you can't exercise outside, at least just sitting outside on the porch like I am right now, getting fresh air. Okay.
Yeah, I'm in my office and my blinds are up and I have a window open.
And periodically you need to
Yeah,
go walk outside, take
yeah,
some deep breaths, and make sure you expose yourself to more direct sunlight.
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Engaging mindfully with others. Here's the social dynamic that we've been robbed of being able to really engage in a community. This is so important. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote in his book Life Together about community, but I was reading the other day because I was taking an opportunity to read because I had nothing to do. And he also has a chapter in there about silence and meditation. It's called Being Alone. And so I'm reading in it, and he's talking about how being alone is very important. Being silent before the Lord, giving the Lord the first word of the day, the last word of the day. And we'll talk more about that in a second. I'm sure you could extrapolate being a pastor, but when engaging with the community on a level that we can't, we have to compensate. So the people who are right in front of you, maybe you didn't plan on having to engage with them as much as you wanted to. A lot of people, a lot of my clients are, I'll use that word, stir crazy. They're not used to the amount of direct contact with the people in their lives. And so people are fighting and having arguments. And so I would say take control of that. Use what the enemy means for evil to the glory of the Lord, and think about how you can minister to the people that are right in front of you. God wants you to be a light to those who are in your path. And right now, for everybody, that's our nuclear units that we're staying quarantined with. So when I say engage with them, I mean engage mindfully, meaning in word, in deed. Think about how you can be an encouragement of service or an encouragement of word. Spending quality time with them at home. Don't think of them as just people to try to escape in the other room from.
Yeah, I think especially now, and that's a good word for me, for all of us, realizing that the people that we are with, they need us at our very best right now, because they're so limited in their interactions with other people right now. So it's so important that we try to be all present. This is, not a time to isolate in our bedrooms, and we got 6 people in our house, and it's not a time to have 6 different screens going. That's the easy thing to do, but over a short amount of time, that's not going to be healthy for anybody, because there's already a void of relationship and socializing that's there. Good point. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Okay.
Stress relief. What are you going to do about your stress? So, of course, it's sleep hygiene and developing the routine and positive social interaction with the people inside around you is part of stress relief. But I want to break it down to there's adaptive approaches to stress relief, and then there's maladaptive, which means bad. And so there's a lot of people that are sitting on the couch amping up their Netflix usage and eating.
Yeah.
And I've actually gained some weight for the past 2 weeks because I've been doing that. And so, and I've seen clients when their faces pop up on the screen, I'm going, whoa, because this is just what we do, man. It's not a healthy way to deal with stress. And there's a lot of other unhealthy ways to deal with stress. If people use substances to do that, then you got to expect that temptation, those cravings, those are going to amp up, and you got to be prepared to relieve stress in a different way. Okay. And so exercise and interaction with people that's not just not talking to each other, but trying to make the moment exciting and expressive is also stress relieving. Sometimes you need to find your stress relief in the Lord, and a lot of people don't know that the Lord offers that through intimate time with Him. And so that's why I was comes full circle back to Bonhoeffer when he says being alone and being in silence is such a he said that, and that was during World War II, and he said people are coming back to the idea of meditation on Scripture, and And I said, well, if we came back to it, we lost it by the year 2020. But I think now is a wonderful time for stress relief to begin to know that alone time with the Lord through any spiritual discipline of worship or reading the word or writing out prayers to the Lord on paper, this could be the time where you may have been really lax in your spiritual disciplines and your relationship with the Lord in those areas. And now you have no excuse.
Yeah.
And that can really be a wonderful place to relieve stress, to give you a moment to escape from all the noise on TV and stuff.
Yeah. What about, you mentioned substances and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You know, Grace Life is honored and blessed that we are a church that we've seen God rescue. He is rescuing people out of a lot of that, and they're such a big part of our life and our church family here. And maybe can you just speak a word to some of those folks who are really kind of maybe feeling like some of this is caving in on them, and maybe that old voice of bondage is kind of whispering in their mind again. And we just, again, because we're not seeing our brothers and sisters face to face, we're not being able to interact with them. I feel like I really want to just connect with maybe a specific group of people right now in this moment, just to give them a word of encouragement and some counsel.
Yeah, I think there's so many things that you can throw at the that community. That's just there's tons of advice. Let me just break it down to one thing. Now is definitely not a time to get better at hiding what you do in secret. If you're in active addiction, or if you're being tempted to go back into that, and now you have more opportunities to do it. Know that boredom is a trigger. And that if you stay in the dark, you will do dark things. And so stay connected with people is my advice for that entire community. Stay connected with the people, whether that's your sponsor or the people that you know naturally hold you accountable because they're before you now, right in front of you. Don't slip off into a disconnection with the people about your cravings. So talk out loud about it. Say, I'm stressed. I'm tempted to use. I just want to own that up. I just want to own that and fess up is a powerful moment. And because you're now handling that craving with somebody else, not just alone.
Yeah.
I think the enemy definitely wants to get everybody alone and sedentary as much as possible. And the community of people who struggle with substance abuse is definitely vulnerable right now, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of those meetings, like virtual meetings, I don't know what the AA community is doing, for instance, but they already have virtual options. And so I know that that's being amped up. And so go to virtual meetings.
Our Celebrate Recovery, I think they're working on, if they're not already doing a lot of their small group stuff together like this on Zoom. I talked with Roger yesterday, so he's working hard to stay on top of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yep.
In conclusion, as far as what I had to finish with on my notes, was to keep an overall positive mental attitude.
Yeah.
Survivability and optimism there are long studies on that. And your overall health can be directly affected with the stress of negative thinking. So yes, you're going to experience fear and you're going to experience anxiety, and these things are going to overwhelm you, and it's okay to be overwhelmed. And that doesn't mean that that's a insufficiency of faith. That's just a natural reaction to a lot of the stuff that we're hearing about. But when you make sure you land on a positive mental attitude as much as possible, because that does have a strong effect on the environment around you, who's around you, and if you dwell too much on negative thinking, it's a slippery slope that can turn into maladaptive coping skills for stress. It can keep you up late at night. It can increase your cravings because you're stressing yourself out with that negative thinking, and that's just causing more cognitive pain. And you want to be able to assuage that pain. And so strong mental attitude. Whatever it takes to maintain that during this time is very important.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. One thing I want to ask before we turn you loose,
Yeah.
you and I and some of our staff had a conversation a few weeks ago about panic attacks. And, I know there's a lot of people in our church that they experience that from time to time. And maybe a time like this could kind of cause that to happen a little more easily than under normal circumstances. So you weren't really prepared to answer this question, I know, but just for those who that may be a struggle in their life and they're just looking for a way to, we're talking about flatten the curve with this virus. We really want to do the same thing in a moment like a panic attack, an anxiety attack, is how do we flatten the curve of that experience? So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, to go over some panic attack protocol is if you find yourself in the midst of a lot of overwhelming panic and it's slipping into these episodes where you're really freaking out, and that is a sense of loss of control where your mind is completely vulnerable to a perceived threat and all your systems of coping are overwhelmed and you just have this breakdown, this shutdown. So it carries you away from your rational mind. And so the coping skills are about bringing yourself back to where you are. What am I in control of? What around me is not affected by my chaos? This tree, this person, this couch. Let me try to ground myself by getting into a secure environment, being aware of my surroundings, and begin to list those out, trying not to stay in your head, but to turn your mind actually to, I'm going to touch this fabric and I'm going to drink this tea and I'm going to drink this water. So you want to try to sit down in a relaxing position. You want to drink water and you want to do controlled breathing. Those three things, I call it the trifecta. And so when you're having a panic attack, there's a lot of blood flow going on and your heart rate is pumping and there's blood pressure that's high. And so relaxing your body begins to reduce the physiological effects, one of which is increased body temperature. So when you're drinking water, not only does it ground you because you're thinking about the cold water going down, it's also reducing your body temperature at the same time. And then controlled breathing is getting oxygen, new oxygen into your blood. It helps reduce heart rate and bring you back to a calm state. Know also the facts that panic attack is not going to kill you, that it is mindset based, that it is temporary, and that it needs you to be afraid of it for it to continue on, maybe sometimes for it to onset at all. Mm-hmm. If you remember those things, that can help reduce a lot of the symptoms or duration of panic attacks if people are going through that.
Yeah, tell us the trifecta real quick again.
Relax, sit in a relaxing position.
Relax, all right.
Drink cold water.
Yep.
Deep breathing. Control.
Gotcha. Simple enough.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the time to reach out to somebody.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you're a lot of times people in panic, they're not hearing what anybody else is saying because they're just all in their mind. It's just really bad. But at least go to somebody because they can sit there with you in the midst of that. And they themselves are a grounder. If you are a person trying to comfort somebody in a panic attack, don't try to fix it for them, but just try to assure them of the facts. Hey, you're okay. We're here. I'm right here. I'm glad you're telling me how you feel. Let me get you some water, and I'll breathe with
you. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Man, that's great, Bryce. I'm convinced that we can do a lot of things so that when we come out of this time, we come out as better people.
Absolutely strong.
We come out closer to the Lord. We come out with our relationship with Him stronger than it's ever been. We come out physically in better health. You know,
better routine.
Yeah, I was reading some today about be lean and mean through the quarantine. So I'm trying to be mindful of that and some kind of routine. And I'm still supposed to run in this 5K for the Grace Place. Shout out to the Grace Place. So
all right.
I got to pound the pavement more than I have been. So let's all do our best to be the best that we can be and to help our brothers and sisters be the best they can be during this time as well.
Amen. Let's do it, Grace Life.
I hear you, Bryce. I love you, buddy. I appreciate your ministry. Appreciate you. Take care of your family, okay?
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.